In this video, I want to talk about the different user interfaces that you can select from when using FM starting point 7 or greater. So let me go ahead and go to File and open up FM starting point 7 here. And the first time you open FM starting point 7, you're going to get this dialog right here. Now this dialog may change a little bit in future versions, but the idea is that you can select whether you are a new developer, an intermediate developer, or an advanced level developer. And all this really does is it changes the complexity of the data entry screens of the most complicated modules for you. So I'm going to go ahead and select the new or beginner level button right here. And of course that jumps into the main home screen right here. Going forward, you'll never be presented with that dialog again. But you can change the settings, and I'll show you that in just a moment. But first off, I want to show you the contacts data entry screen right here. This is the original interface that we designed for FM starting point 4.6. Now this has been tuned for performance and it's very fast. That being said, it's a fairly simple interface. The menus are across here. You have some additional controls right here. Then you have your persistent data for the contact right here. And then of course you have notes and contacts and invoices and all that kind of stuff. Let me go ahead and show you accounts. It works the same way, as does the estimates. You'll find the estimates is very simple and straightforward. So what you're going to find is that the data entry screens are in the simplest design that we can provide. The selection of beginner or intermediate or advanced only affects the data entry screens for accounts, contacts, estimates, invoices, projects, and products, which happen to be the most important modules of FM starting point, which happen to be the modules you see here at the top. There are, of course, additional modules or sections like assets and staff and things like that, but we didn't redesign those layouts because they are not as heavily used by users. These are the ones with additional complexity. So what I want to do is go ahead and say, for example, that I want a more advanced interface, or I want to play with the more advanced interface. Well, I would go to the home screen here. I would select Preferences. Then I would go over to Navigation right here, and then you could select Intermediate. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Now, keep in mind that when you select these right here, it's going to pre-populate the names of the layouts in FM starting point. If you change the name of one of these layouts in FM starting point, you're going to need to come in here and fix it in here, okay? So understand that the layout numbers that you see in your copy of FM starting point may be a little different than these numbers here. But basically, we have the basic interfaces here, which are our C interfaces. We put a C behind it to indicate it's basic. The intermediates here are Bs. And then the advanced ones here are As. Now, if I view the status toolbar and I pop this down, you will see if I go to mouse, I go to contacts, you're going to see here's 40A, 40B, and 40C. So once again, the idea is that we don't use all three in parallel. We want you to easily be able to use the layout that makes the most sense for you. So let me go ahead and set for intermediate. I'm going to go back to the dashboard here, and I'm going to go ahead and go to contacts. And what you're going to see is a similar interface to what we had before, but this section on the left is new. This is the master detail portal. This is the layout design that we introduced with starting point 6. And of course, we came up with even a newer, more modern design for FM starting point 7, and that's what we see in the advanced version. So I'm going to come back over here and I select advanced. That's all I have to do. And then what happens is I come back to the dashboard, I hit contacts, and what you see is the master detail portal here. But now the information, instead of the persistent information being across the top, then the secondary section below, it's a left to right design. So you look here, you select this person. You see their persistent information here. And then of course you can see their notes, their contacts, their estimates, all that kind of information. That makes sense? So which interface should you use? Well, that's really up to you to decide. But for training purposes, when I am teaching people about list views and form views and things like that, well, if I try to teach people what a form view is, this layout right here is really confusing for a brand new person because there's a little bit of magic going on here that we cover in other videos. So say, for example, I want to look at the B layout real quick. Well, if you actually try to switch to the B one right here, our system detects that you actually should be on A and it will bounce you back. So it goes to A, and then it bounces back real quickly. You see it flash. That's the way the system works. We're able to affect the entire system by running a script trigger on these layouts. So when you enter the layout, right before it's done and it gives you control, It's going to check to see if it should be on the A, B, or C layout, basically. And once again, we're calling them A, B, and C, but that's very arbitrary. This just happens to be what we'd come up with previously. If you wanted to go to a different layout, all you have to do is come in here and type in the name of the layout that you want. Make sense? Of course, if you type in the name of a layout that doesn't work, and you come back over here and you go to Accounts, you're going to get the default layout for FM Starting Point 7, which is this more advanced layout. So let me go ahead and set this back. I'm going to go to Preferences. I come back over here. Notice it still has this on it. I'm going to go ahead and put in the correct value. I happen to have it saved in memory. I'm going to put it back to A. Now, what I want to point out real quick to you also is that there is a 4 set of layouts, primarily for the purpose of adjusting the invoice, and that has to do with the use of QuickBooks. QuickBooks has some very specific rules about how you interact with it as you create invoices and you mark them as paid, etc., or you cancel them, or you calculate sales tax or VAT, etc. And so in order to support QuickBooks, we had to make some changes to the layout that a lot of people probably wouldn't like if they weren't using QuickBooks. So we think that QuickBooks is really a separate layout, and only if you're going to use QuickBooks should you actually select that option up here. Once again, feel free to mix and match. If you figure on one section that you want an A and another section you want a B or another section you want a C, you can totally select those without any problem. Now keep in mind, as we update FM Starting Point, you may see adjustments or enhancements to this screen here, but these are the basics of how it works.